Alright, so here's part 3 of the NAS project, and part 3 is actually going to require that I have the hardware turned on, so I should probably actually do that. That would actually be a rather useful thing to do. Like I've said throughout this series of videos about the NAS, this is not really how-to. I'm not going to show you the ins and outs of making a NAS and making it work, because there's a lot more to it than I'm really able to show you, and frankly, I'm probably doing things in a fashion that is wrong. So, how you're going to set up your NAS is probably going to be different from how I'm going to set it up, and frankly, there's probably better ways to do this, better hardware to do it with. I've had to change my network card that is in the NAS box because the network card that I had in there doesn't work very well. Actually, it doesn't really work at all. It has a bad tendency to drop the link, and I was having trouble with it. I had quite the little episode with that too, but it's working now. I'm not going to go through the entire setup process because that's in depth and way more than I'm really willing to get into on a video. So I'll just show you the basic setup steps because I've already done this. We need our browser, so we'll bring up a browser window. Unfortunately, because I've already done this, most of these steps will be rather difficult to show. Okay, so when your server has booted, as mine has just done, you'll get an IP address, or it'll display on the console, or you'll be able to figure out what it is by going into your network management software, network management interface for your router or whatever. You'll be able to get it. You'll need that IP address, because most of the setup process is going to take place in a remote management console like this. Now, I've already set this up, so I've got my username and password. So we'll go ahead and log in, and you'll be greeted with this. Shut up. You'll be greeted with all of this stuff here. You can see I've given it a host name of NAS1 local. You'll see your version. You'll see the compilation date. This is when it was released. Platform, blah, 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 blah. I have no idea why, but my CPU usage doesn't work, which is rather interesting. It's definitely not 350 megahertz, I'll tell you that much. You can see RAM usage, swap usage, all that, usage of disk space, because I've already got my disk set up. You can go ahead and do some basic setup tasks, change the system password, set all the basic system information up, use an NTP server to set the time automatically, change the host name. Most of these settings, if you change them, you will be required to reboot your server. And especially if you change the options for this, and there are options somewhere in here for, I guess they're not in this one, I guess they're in the advanced setup. Maybe they're under network. If you change any of the network stuff, you'll have to probably change your IP address and log in all over again. It's actually kind of a mess. I haven't set up most of this stuff. I am going to have to go through it and figure out most of this stuff. This is something that I especially probably should set up, but that I haven't yet. Disk management. Now, a lot of people will probably be running software RAID, RAID-Z, that kind of stuff on here. I'm not. I've got a hardware RAID set up here. This is the final end stage. When you first get to this screen, you'll find that it's empty, and you'll have to click on this plus, and you'll have to add disks. So we got a disk here. We'll just call it, put something random in. Actually, we don't even need to put anything in. You get your transfer modes. You shouldn't change that. Hard drive standby time. You can set this to pretty much anything. I usually set it to always on because it doesn't really matter in a server environment. But, I don't know, maybe we'll set it to 300. This is the boot drive, so it should probably be up all the time. But anyway, power management, again, set that to something sane. Usually level 127 is about right. Acoustic level, I usually set that to maximum performance. I activate smart monitoring, even though it's questionable what it does. And pre-formatted capacity. Now this is going to depend on your drive. Pre-formatted file system, sorry. This is going to depend on your drive. I believe that this has got UFS. I think it might even be GPT. But whatever it's got on it, we'll go ahead and we'll just add it. So we'll have a drive that'll show up, and then it'll ask us, we'll have to apply the changes in order to save the configuration. Anyway, it doesn't really matter for the purposes of this, so you just get rid of that. I want to make sure that that is the right disk. Yes. I don't really need that disk to do anything. Once you're done that, you go ahead into Format, and you'll choose your disks that you want to format. I think you could do both of them at once. I've always done one at a time. And you'll change this. In my case, I'm using UFS with soft updates. You might want to select Software RAID or the ZFS storage pool. Smart information, I've enabled it. I haven't really set any scheduled tasks for it though. Then we've got the iSCSI initiator. We're not going to touch that. Then you'll want to configure your mount points. I've got two set up here. One of them is for a storage drive. That is the RAID array. And then the backup drive is just the extra drive here. I've set those up already. We got some management tools for mounting and unmounting. And of course, file system check over here. That's pretty much it for that. As far as configuration goes, the next thing you'll want to do, if you're like me, you'll want to go in and set up server message block or CIFS, Common Internet File Sharing. And these options will probably be different from yours. I've set them up as I've needed to. For performance reasons, I've enabled the synchronous I/O, and I've used the default for the read size and the write size. And then I've enabled large reading and writing as well. It also tells you to enable tuning switch, but I don't know where that is in here. I've disabled setting it as a time server because it really isn't. And there was one other thing that I disabled, and I don't remember what it was. Once you've done that, you'll have to add your shares. I've only got one because I've only got one accessible share on the system. The backup drive doesn't need to be shared at all, and it isn't. Because what I'm doing for that is in the rsync utility, which it also supports. Now you can do more with rsync than what I'm doing, but on the local rsync here, I've got storage drive being backed up to the destination drive, which is the backup drive, and I've got that scheduled to run the first of every month at about 3 o'clock in the morning. That's pretty much it. You can set up other services like FTP, NFS, and AFP. You can set all that stuff up. I have, but I'll probably never do anything with it because most of my server stuff is done through, or most of my interaction with server stuff is done over a Windows environment, and even in Linux you can use server message block stuff. It doesn't really matter, it supports it. So that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Until then.